If someone can still make you angry today, then you are still under their control, whether you want to admit it or not. If the glare of another person pierces you like a weapon, if a careless word disarms your peace, then you are not free, you are chained. You are not truly living for yourself, but dancing like a puppet every time the world pulls a string, and every day that you allow others to decide your mood, to drag you into chaos, you are handing them the keys to your inner world. But there comes a point where you must say enough. Ask yourself honestly, how long do you plan to keep living like this? Weak inside, vulnerable, broken at the smallest push. Today, I will show you a different way, the way to harden your mind, to shield your calm, and to reclaim your independence. I won't lie to you. It's not going to be pleasant. It hurts. It feels uncomfortable. But in that pain lies your freedom. What you'll hear today are 11 Stoic lessons. They are not sweet, they are not gentle, and they will not comfort you. They are blows. Blows aimed directly at your illusions and your weaknesses. But each strike is also a weapon, one that will make you immune to anger, immune to anxiety, and untouchable by chaos. This is not about escaping demons. It is about standing face to face with them, looking them in the eye, and silencing them with serenity. It is about withstanding chaos without letting even a fragment of it touch you. It is about turning your mind into a fortress that no insult, no look, no betrayal can penetrate. If you are ready to stop being a slave to every opinion, if you are ready to stop living on the strings of other people's moods, then stay. But stay knowing this. Here, there is no comfort, no soft escape. Here, there is only the truth. And if you embrace it, the truth will make you unbreakable. Zero. An inspiring story, they say. There are two kinds of people in this world. Those who collapse the moment someone criticizes them, and those who remain so firm that it is the other person, who eventually grows tired and walks away. For most of his life, Daniel was the first kind, and the saddest part, he didn't even know it. Daniel lived in constant reaction. He was like a leaf blown round by the smallest gust of wind. If a driver honked at him on the road, Daniel would scream back, his veins burning with rage. If his boss raised a single eyebrow, Daniel's mind instantly filled with panic, convinced he was about to be fired. If his partner sat in silence too long, he couldn't bear it. He would start an argument just to fill the quiet. Daniel was fragile, like a sandcastle standing in the middle of a storm. All it took was one wave to tear him down, until one ordinary Thursday changed everything. That morning, Daniel had already left home shaking from an argument with his partner. By the time he reached the office, his chest was tight, his heart pounding. He walked in late, still carrying the storm of his morning. His boss glanced at him and said only 4 words. "We'll talk later." That was it, just 4 words. But inside Daniel, it felt as if the whole world collapsed. His imagination spiraled instantly. He pictured himself packing up his desk, explaining to his mother why he had been fired, calculating how he would pay rent with the little money left in his account. He sat in the meeting, unable to hear a single word. The pounding in his head drowned everything out. His inner voice screamed, "You're about to lose everything." Finally, when his boss called him into the office, Daniel walked in stiff, bracing for destruction. But what he heard instead was this: "Relax. I just wanted to ask for your help on a project. I trust you, that was all." And in that ridiculous moment, Daniel felt something inside him crack open. He saw the truth. His suffering that day hadn't come from the outside world, had been born inside his own mind. No one was attacking him. No one was tearing him apart. He had been destroying himself, still in a daze. Daniel left work and wandered the city streets until he found himself in a small, dusty bookstore. Without knowing why, he walked inside. His eyes drifted over the shelves until they landed on a thin, battered book with a torn cover. The Handbook of Life by Epictetus. He opened it at random, and the words leaped out at him: "As long as you care. What others think of you, you are their slave." Daniel froze. The book trembled in his hands, as if he were holding a mirror to his soul. For the first time in his life, he understood he was not free. Every person who pushed him, insulted him, or ignored him had been pulling his strings, not because they were powerful, but because he had given them access to his mind. That night, Daniel slept better than he had in years. The next morning, when his partner made a sarcastic remark over breakfast, Daniel did something new. He took a deep breath, smiled, and simply said, "Have a good day." No venom, no bitterness, no chaos entering his mind. Did he become a sage? Overnight? Of course not. But he had discovered a brutal truth. Every time you react the way others expect, you hand them your peace. Every time you choose silence and calm, you reclaim it. That day, in a forgotten bookstore, Daniel stopped being a slave and began to walk the path of freedom, the same freedom Epictetus had spoken of nearly 2,000 years ago. Because, in the end, it does not matter what storms rage outside. If your inner world is untouchable, then nothing can harm you. Now let me ask you, how many times a day do you hand over your calm to someone else? How many times do you allow a stranger, a colleague, or a careless comment to dictate your emotions? If that question stings, then it's time to begin this journey. Comment below with what robs your peace the most, or simply write Stoic at heart. From today onward, you decide. I govern my inner world. 1. Your brain thinks you're in danger, have you? Ever noticed your voice trembling and your hands turning cold just because someone took too long to reply to a message? Or maybe when someone cut in line at the supermarket, your chest tightened, your face flushed, and you froze, unable to respond. Or that moment in traffic when a car horn blasts, and suddenly you're gripping the wheel as if your life depends on it. Friend, that's not the real you. That is your brain, reacting as though you've just been thrown out of your tribe and left to die in the wilderness. It reacts as though a tiger is stalking you, even though all you're facing is a phone notification, a boss saying, "We'll talk later," or a stranger's glance. Your body sets off alarms, because your limbic system, the primitive part of your brain, doesn't know the difference between a lion's roar in the savannah and a vague comment in an office. To your ancient wiring, both mean danger. Epictetus explained this centuries ago, long before neuroscience gave it a name. We are not affected by what happens, but by how we interpret it. That is why, even as a slave, Epictetus refused to let fear or rage control him. He remained calm in situations that would have shattered others. Now imagine Epictetus in year 60 being told, "We'll talk later." He wouldn't panic. He wouldn't spiral. He'd probably raise an eyebrow, whisper, "That's not mine to control," and return calmly to his writing. But you panic. You sit in the office staring at the screen, replaying every word you wrote in an email, regretting that little joke at the end. 2 hours pass, your boss looks serious, and the words drop. "We'll talk later." Instantly, you're rewriting. You'll resume in your head, picturing your parents' disappointment, imagining yourself selling bracelets on a beach just to survive. Your body betrays you, your palms sweat, your stomach twists, your throat dries. If you're ready to break this cycle, here's the first step. When you notice these symptoms, quietly tell yourself, "This is not a real threat." Write it down on a sticky note if you have to. Label your emotions. Say, "I'm nervous because I have an interview," or "I'm afraid of losing my partner." By naming your emotions, you reduce their power. Psychologist Ethan Kross explains this beautifully. Labeling creates distance, and distance creates control. Then do the opposite of what your panic tells you. If your impulse is to send 3 apologetic emails, don't. Get up, grab some water, breathe deeply, and return with a calm face. Even if a zoo is roaring inside, your outer calm trains your brain that no lion exists. Every time you do this, you weaken fear's grip. You are teaching your mind, "I am no longer a slave to my impulses." This is the beginning of true freedom. Freedom to remain untouched no matter what storm arises. 2. Stay quiet. When its hardest few battles are harder than the one where silence is your weapon. Wow, look who finally arrived on time. A miracle. Oh, you really dressed up for sleeping, didn't you? Of course, nobody expects anything from you. Why would they? Sound familiar? Words like these cut deeper than knives. But here's the truth. The words themselves aren't the problem. The real problem is that we let them steal our calm. It happened to me once. At a family dinner, between the noise of laughter and clattering plates, my uncle stuffed bread into his mouth and loudly declared, "No wonder you don't have a partner with that personality. Who could stand you?" My blood boiled. The comeback about his 3rd divorce was right there on my tongue, begging to be unleashed. But instead, I took a deep breath, stood, and calmly went to refill my plate with salad. I said nothing. The silence hung heavy. You could hear the cutlery against the plates, see people avoiding eye contact, shifting awkwardly. My calm was louder than any insult I could have spoken. Now imagine it's you. You're at a wedding. Your partner, in front of friends, smirks and says sarcastically, "Of course, we always have to wait for you. You're never on time." Everyone laughs, some genuinely, some nervously. Your cheeks burn, your palms sweat. Your instinct screams to strike back with a crueler line, to humiliate them on the spot. But instead, you breathe. You stay silent. You raise your glass with a faint smile and meet their eyes with calm. And in that silence, you prove something powerful, that you are untouchable. That pause, the deliberate silence, the cold self-control, settles others more than any outburst ever could. Because in that moment, you're not just holding yourself together, you're leaving the other person trapped in their own poison, forced to face the echo of their own words. Marcus Aurelius understood this truth better than anyone. He wrote, "Every man acts according to what he knows and who he is. Do not be angry with him. Have compassion." And these were not empty lines to sound noble. They were words he lived by. As emperor, he faced betrayal in the Senate, insults from rivals, and complaints from his own soldiers. And yet, when others shouted at him, accused him, or even plotted against him, he did not lower himself into their chaos. He met their eyes, inhaled deeply, and let them drown in the noise of their own making, because he knew that silence is not submission. Silence is strategy. It is a shield that protects you from being dragged into someone else's mud, and you too can learn this. You too can master your emotions so deeply that nothing and no one steals your calm or rules your inner world. So, my friend, here is your practice. Next time anger burns in your throat and your jaw shakes with the urge to fire back, don't speak, pause. A conscious silence of 5 to 7 seconds before responding. But understand, this isn't just any pause. It's a Stoic pause. It's silence so unshakable that the other person begins to hear themselves more clearly. It's like holding up a mirror to their own ugliness without saying a single word. If, after those seconds, you still feel the fire inside, then look at them with calm eyes and in a soft voice ask, "Could you repeat that?" Do you know what happens? Very few people can repeat an insult when forced to hear it in the cold light of day. And those who do only expose themselves to everyone watching. If you want to take it further, you can turn the situation around, not with aggression, but with piercing questions. Did you say that to offend me? How did you want me to feel when you said that? Does saying that actually make you feel better? Questions like these don't just protect your peace, they unmask the other person. You will often see them falter, stumble over their words, even lower their gaze. Why? Because they weren't expecting control. They were expecting chaos. And when you refuse to play their game, you win without lifting a finger. Remember this. Silence at the right moment is not weakness, it is mastery. And when you learn to use it precisely when your emotions scream the loudest, you discover a new truth. No one can drag you into their storm. That is how you become immune to anger and anxiety. 3. No one rules. Over your peace, ask yourself this. Why do you keep giving away your peace like it's free, like it's just a glass of water you hand out at a party? Every time someone provokes you and you explode, you're handing them the keys to your inner world. And the worst part, you don't even notice. Think about it. It often takes so little a dirty look, a sarcastic comment for you to become another person's puppet. Picture this. You've had a long, exhausting day. Your mind is heavy with worries. Your shoulders ache. Your patience is already thin. You're in line at the supermarket, just wanting to get home. Then someone bumps into you with their cart and snaps, "Can you hurry up?" Instantly, something inside you cracks. Rage rises. Replies flood your mind like arrows ready to fire. You are seconds away from unloading every frustration you've carried all day. But stop. If you react, if you fall into that trap, what just happened? That stranger, for that brief moment, became your master. They pulled your strings, and you danced. Do they really deserve that power over you? You're not the first to face this. Socrates himself was once insulted in the streets for several minutes, while onlookers waited for his reaction. But Socrates remained calm, silent, unbothered. Later, when asked why he hadn't responded, he simply said, "If a donkey kicked me, would I sue it?" With those words, he revealed a deep truth. Not every insult requires an answer. Sometimes the highest wisdom is to see people for what they are and choose not to lower yourself to their level. Because some people, my friend, know nothing else but to spit venom. That's all they have, and you must decide. Will you behave like them, or will you rise above them? Modern psychology calls this practice emotional hygiene. Psychologist Guy Winch explains, just as you brush your teeth every morning to protect your mouth, you must also protect your emotions every day. You wouldn't allow someone to come along and stuff dirt into your mouth, so why would you allow them to stuff chaos into your mind? Your calm is your responsibility. Guard it like your most precious possession. Here's how. First, decide in advance that no one deserves to see your worst side. Before you walk into a meeting, a dinner, or a confrontation, say to yourself, "Today, nothing and no one will steal my calm." This is exactly what Marcus Aurelius did. Every morning, he prepared himself by writing, "When you wake up, remind yourself, today you will meet the rude, the ungrateful, the insolent, the deceitful, the envious, the unsociable." He wasn't surprised when people misbehaved, expected it. Second, treat their words like bubbles. Imagine insults and provocations as fragile bubbles floating in the air. They may drift toward you, catch your attention for a second, but the moment they reach you, they pop. Gone. No trace left. Don't hold on to them. Don't collect them. Finally, forgive yourself when you fail. If you lose control and react, don't fall into self-hatred. Don't feed the storm. Instead, return quickly to your center. Just like the sea, which always returns to calm after a storm, your peace can always return to dot. So tell me, what's the situation where it's hardest for you to keep your calm? Write it in the comments. Or if you want to remind yourself every day with one phrase, just write, Stoic at heart. Because every time you choose not to react, you prove a timeless truth. No one, not a stranger, not a partner, not a boss rules over your peace. 4. Not everything is about you. Yes, my friend, read that again. Not everything is about you. Your ego will resist this. It will fight, it will scream. It will insist that every glance, every whisper, every silence in the room must have something to do with you. But the truth is far simpler and far lighter. Most people are not thinking about you at all. And while at first that may sting, it's actually a great relief. Because think about how exhausting it is to believe you're always at the center of the stage. Some days it feels like you're walking around with a giant satellite dish strapped to your head, scanning every room, picking up every laugh, every glance. convinced you're the subject of every conversation. You walk down the street, someone frowns, and your mind instantly whispers, "What did I do wrong?" But here's the truth. The world does not revolve around you. And thank goodness, because the moment you release that illusion, you release a mountain of unnecessary anxiety. Take this example. You're at the gym, focused on your squats, trying not to lose balance. Out of the corner of your eye, you see two people laughing while glancing in your direction. Instantly, your body reacts, seat rises up your back, your grip tightens on the bar, your mind spins. Are they laughing at me, at my form, at my shirt? In seconds, your heart is racing, your confidence gone. You ruined the whole set, not because of them, but because of the story you told yourself. But in reality, they weren't even thinking about you. They were laughing at a TikTok of a salsa dancing cat. That's all. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Remove the opinion, and you remove the complaint." Remove the complaint, and the harm disappears. What did he mean? He meant that most suffering doesn't come from reality, but from the interpretation we attach to it. When you believe every action is aimed at you, you're fighting shadows. Ghosts. Remember this. Most people act out of their own fears, their own worries, their own pain. They're too busy wrestling with their inner chaos to organize one against you. And if you can't stop overthinking, if you're desperate to know what others think, remind yourself of what Brené Brown calls the story I'm telling myself. Because that's what it is, a story, a fiction your mind creates. A delayed reply becomes rejection. A yawn during your story becomes boredom. But reality is almost always simpler. They weren't even thinking about you. So, the next time your inner satellite dish starts spinning, scanning for signals, pause. Lower the volume, breathe, and remember, not everything you see is about you. And if the doubt really eats at you, and if you trust the person, just ask, "Hey, was that because of something I did?" 9 times out of 10, they'll say no, and you'll feel immediate relief. And if you don't feel comfortable asking, then drop the story, focus on your workout, and finish your squats, because the movie other people are living does not require you to be the villain. Their chaos is theirs, yours is yours. And peace belongs only to those who stop imagining enemies where there are none. Remember this, not everything in life revolves around you, and not everything is worthy of your time, energy, or peace of mind. The day you finally stop thinking you're the center of everyone's attention, a strange calmness begins to open up inside you. The weight of other people's opinions, their judgments, their imagined thoughts about you, it all dissolves. And when that happens, anxiety slowly loses its grip. That, my friend, is when you truly begin to live lightly. That is when you step into the role of being the master of your own peace. 5. Stand firm, no matter what. Think of Nelson Mandela. The courtroom was overflowing with people, a low murmur buzzing like a swarm of bees as he walked to the center. He had been detained for months, and he knew the truth. There was no way out. In the front row, his mother fought hard to hold back tears, her heart breaking at the thought of her son's fate. At the back of the room, a policeman stared at him with cold, lifeless eyes, as though Mandela had already been buried. The judge, his voice dry and emotionless. asked Mandela if he had any last words before sentencing. Mandela inhaled deeply, lifted his head, and let the faintest smile cross his face, as if none of the tension in that room could touch him. Then he spoke with calm, unshaken conviction. "I have fought against white domination, and I have fought against black domination. I have cherished the ideal of a democratic and free society, and I am prepared to die." In that single moment, the courtroom froze. Nobody moved. Nobody even breathed. That serenity Mandela carried wasn't indifference. It was power. A man with a calm, steady mind is far more dangerous, far more unshakable than 1,000 angry men shouting. And the lesson is this: you don't need to be standing before a judge facing a death sentence to prove your strength. Life gives you tests every single day, sometimes in the most ordinary places. Imagine yourself at the bank. The line isn't moving. You've been standing there for half an hour. Your phone is buzzing in your pocket like it's trying to burn its way through. The person in front of you suddenly explodes, yelling at the teller. You feel it, the anger swelling in you like a wave. Your fists clench, your breathing shortens, and a voice in your head starts screaming, "Say something. Don't just stand there, join in." And just like that, your calm no longer belongs to you. A stranger, a trivial situation, and you've handed over your inner peace. If Marcus Aurelius was standing next to you, he probably would have smiled and said something like, "This too is training patience for the mind, endurance for the legs," because he understood something we keep forgetting. It's never the external thing that disturbs us, it's our judgment of it. He wrote in his meditations, "If something external disturbs you, it is not the thing itself that troubles you, but your judgment of it." That means this: you always have a choice. You can either be moved by chaos or remain rooted in stillness. Standing firm isn't about being stubborn. It's about refusing to surrender your calm no matter what storm rises around you. Today, more than ever, this ability is priceless. Because when you let someone else provoke you, when you let their actions dictate whether you get angry or not, you've given them control of your inner kingdom, and your peace, your most precious possessions, not for sale. So how do you build this unshakable calm? First, prepare yourself each morning. Just like a soldier sharpens his sword before battle, you sharpen your mind. As you get dressed, quietly remind yourself, "Today I will meet impatient people, rude people, and people fighting battles I cannot see. None of them will steal my calm." Then, when the storm comes, and it will practice watching without joining. You're standing in that bank line. Someone yells. Your heart starts to race. Don't fight the feeling, just observe it. Watch it the way you'd watch rain falling from a window. Let the storm belong to someone else while you remain dry inside. And if someone points at you, trying to drag you into their chaos, remember, you don't need to shout back. A calm, firm boundary is stronger than the loudest roar. A sentence as simple as, "We'll continue when you've calmed down," or "I don't accept being spoken to like that," carries more weight than any insult, because the storms will never stop. The question is not if it will rain, but who you'll be when it does. Will you be the umbrella, steady and protective, or will you be the puddle, trampled and lost in the chaos? When you master your anger, when you master your anxiety, you become untouchable. Nobody and nothing can flood the calm inside you. It's like standing in front of a mirror that doesn't just show your face, but also reveals your weak spots, your hidden flaws, the parts of yourself that need training. Life, and especially your enemies, work exactly like that mirror. So, let me ask you, do you want to turn your enemies into your personal trainers? If yes, start with awareness. Begin noticing what part of you is being triggered in those moments of conflict. Maybe it's your pride, that inner voice telling you, no one should dare speak to me like that. Or perhaps it's insecurity whispering, if I don't win this argument, I must be worthless. Sometimes it's even impatience, that restless inability to slow down and tolerate the pace of others. Take this example. Imagine you're speaking, sharing your thoughts passionately, and suddenly someone cuts you off mid-sentence. Instantly, a rush of emotion rises in you. Instead of reacting immediately, pause and ask yourself, which part of me feels attacked? Right now, is it my pride, my ego, my fear of being dismissed? This shift in questioning changes everything. Because instead of asking, why are they doing this to me? Which only makes you a victim, you start asking, what are they teaching me? And the answers may surprise you. Maybe that person is teaching you to listen more attentively, to keep better control of your tone and gestures, or even to stop relying so much on other people's approval. Now, here's the key practice, mentally. Thank them, even if outwardly you're forcing a smile through clenched teeth. Inwardly repeat a mantra like, thank you for helping me train. This makes me stronger. Because truly, every annoying person is like a weight at the gym. They may irritate you, they may push you, but every time you lift that weight, you build strength. And remember, no one else can train for you. This is your work, your growth. So instead of resenting the difficult people in your life, think of them as your patience coaches. So let me ask you directly, who has been training your patience this week? Who has been your unintentional coach in endurance, tolerance, and self-mastery? Drop it in the comments or simply declare, I'm grateful to those who challenge me, because gratitude turns resistance into power. Now, about letting others follow their own path. Picture a butterfly struggling to break free from its cocoon. From the outside, it looks fragile and helpless, moving slowly, straining to create even the smallest space. You feel tempted to help, to tear the cocoon open with your fingers so the butterfly can escape faster. But if you do, you destroy it. Why? Because the very struggle you wanted to spare it from is what strengthens its wings. Without that resistance, it will never fly. The same is true for people. Every person has their own timing, their own battles, their own pace of growth. Often, what causes the most harm isn't our silence, but our interference, our impatience, disguised as help. Think of this situation. Your best friend is in a relationship you can clearly see is harmful. You've warned him countless times, begged him to walk away, even argued until your voice broke. But one day, after yet another confrontation, he looks you in the eye, cold and distant, and says, leave it. I know what I'm doing. And suddenly, you feel that sting in your chest, that heavy helplessness, that bitterness as you walk home alone, wondering if you've been pushing his cocoon before its time. Maybe your need for him to change has become stronger than his need to learn. And that's dangerous, because real growth never comes from being pushed. Marcus Aurelius understood this deeply. He wrote, "Accept the things to which fate binds you, and love the people whom fate brings you, but do so with all your heart." He wasn't only talking about accepting pleasant circumstances. He meant accepting even the slow, frustrating processes of others. In his own life, Marcus had to endure stubborn generals and advisors making the same mistakes repeatedly. Yet, instead of exploding or forcing them, he chose patience, calm, and example. He knew that true calm is not resignation, is choosing not to be dragged down by anyone else's haste. As Jay Akuno, the creator of the podcast Unthinkable, once said, "True influence is born from respect, not pressure. Pressure creates resistance. Respect creates openness. It's like tending to a seed. You can water it, but you cannot pull on its stem to make it grow faster. So next time you watch someone making a mistake, breathe deeply and remind yourself, this is not my battle." If you want to help, do it silently. Lead by example, not lectures. Light a candle in the dark and then step back, waiting for them to notice it on their own. Listen without interrupting, even if inside you're boiling. Because when they are ready, they'll take a step and you'll be there. Until then, your task is to tend to your own garden, preserve your own calm, and let others bloom in their own time, even if to you their path looks clumsy and misguided. Because wings that unfold by force never learn to fly. Only those that unfold by choice, through struggle, are truly strong enough to carry someone through life. So let everyone follow their own path. Because real calm is not about control, it's about letting go of the need to control others. All of this can happen simply because you couldn't wait for just 10 seconds before reacting. Think about it. Do you believe that the ability to hold back your words, to bite your tongue, to pause instead of reacting impulsively, is something you can train? The answer is yes, and psychologists demonstrated this decades ago with nothing more than a marshmallow. Back in the 1970s, psychologist Walter Mischel carried out what became one of the most famous experiments in behavioral science, the marshmallow test. He placed a marshmallow in front of several children and told them, "If you don't eat this marshmallow for 10 minutes, I'll give you another one." The results were fascinating. The children who managed to resist the temptation and wait were found, years later, to have developed better emotional regulation, greater self-control, and in many cases, greater personal and professional success. The lesson is simple. Anger is just like that marshmallow. You can consume it instantly, giving in to impulse, or you can hold back, wait, and in doing so, gain something far more valuable: control, strength, and peace of mind. Now, imagine if Marcus Aurelius himself had taken part in that marshmallow test. I can assure you, he wouldn't have just waited 10 minutes, he could have waited all day if necessary. His life, like ours, was filled with challenges and situations that constantly tested his patience. And yet, his reaction was always the same: calm, measured, and serene. He reminds us of this in his writings when he says, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." What did he mean? that anger speaks before reason has time to act, and by mastering it, you achieve a double victory. One over the situation or person that provoked you, and another over yourself. Perhaps you're thinking that mastering your anger sounds impossible. I understand, my friend, because it feels natural to believe that anger is too strong to control. Your first instinct may even be to say, that's easier said than done. But here's the truth, it is possible. And today, I'm going to give you some simple, practical tools so that the next time you feel your patience slipping, you won't hand your peace over to anger. The first technique is what Dan Harris calls the anchor. This isn't just a metaphorical term, it's a lifeline, something that keeps you grounded in the present moment when the storm of anger tries to sweep you away. How does it work? Before you speak, before you press send, before you react, stop. Just stop. Take 3 deep breaths. But don't just breathe. Mechanically be fully aware of it. Inhale deeply while counting to 4. Feel your lungs fill with air, your chest rising. Then exhale slowly while counting to 6. Feel the release, the weight leaving you. It isn't magic, it's creating space. Space between stimulus and response. Space that prevents regret later. Picture it clearly. You're driving on the road and someone suddenly cuts you off as if they're in a race to the underworld. Instantly, your heart races. Your hand is already moving to slam the horn. But then you pause. You keep both hands steady on the wheel. You close your eyes for a second. You breathe 3 times. When you open them, you're still in control of yourself. You have not surrendered your mind to their chaos. You have anchored yourself in calm. The second practice is called scanning the body. It may sound technical, but it's actually a natural instinct when you pay attention. Anger never enters quietly. It always leaves marks on the body, tightens your shoulders, clenches your jaw, burns in your stomach. To fight it, bring your awareness to these physical signs. Seek out the tension and, with every exhale, imagine loosening it like a knot that's been tied too tightly. If you're in a meeting and someone mocks you with sarcasm in front of others, pay attention. Notice your jaw locking, your chest tightening. Instead of exploding, release the tension slowly, breathe deeply. And when you finally respond, your words will carry calm instead of fire. And that calm, believe me, is far more disarming than any outburst of rage. Remember, mastering anger does not mean burying it deep inside. It means cooking it slowly, letting it lose its venom before it comes out. When you can do this, you are no longer poisoned by your own emotions. And now, let's move to the next point, which is the crown jewel of this practice, the idea that nothing is inherently good or bad. You decide how to label it. Not long ago, a close friend of mine missed his flight because he had overslept. He was furious when he arrived at the airport, slamming his hands on the counter, cursing, shouting at the staff, pacing around like a volcano ready to erupt. Hours later, while waiting at the terminal, he heard breaking news. The very flight he had missed had suffered a serious mechanical failure, and passengers had to be evacuated in an emergency. At that moment, his anger froze. He sat there, coffee cup in hand, shoulders sinking, whispering to himself, "So, was it really bad?" How many times has this happened to you, my friend? something you thought was the worst moment of your life later turned out to be a blessing in disguise. Maybe you lose your job and feel crushed, but weeks later, you find a better one, or even create your own business and realize you're happier than ever. So, was it really bad? Or was it exactly the push you needed? The Stoics were masters at practicing this perspective. Marcus Aurelius, for instance, began each day by preparing himself mentally for the challenges ahead. He reminded himself that he would surely meet people who were rude, ungrateful, selfish, or unjust. But by preparing for it, he ensured that none of it could steal his peace. When such moments came, he didn't see them as bad. He saw them as neutral events, without intrinsic meaning. The meaning would come only from his choice of reaction. To train this mindset, here's a simple exercise: the good or bad journal. Every night, write down 2 situations from the day that frustrated or annoyed you. Then, in one column, describe how you felt and the story you told yourself at that moment. In another column, write what possible lesson or hidden benefit might exist in that situation. Maybe being interrupted forced you to be clearer. Maybe waiting gave you a moment of silence you didn't expect. Maybe rejection saved you from the wrong commitment. Even if you can't see the good immediately, the act of searching for it is already reshaping your mind. As Marcus Aurelius said, loss is nothing but change, and change is nature's delight. And whenever you face a challenge, repeat this phrase to yourself: this story isn't over yet. Because truly, it isn't. The ending may turn out entirely different from what you believe in the heat of the moment. With time, you train your eyes to see beyond appearances, to stop labeling everything as good or bad right away, and instead allow life to reveal its wisdom. Things are like clay. You can dismiss it as mere dirt, or you can recognize it as the raw material to create something new. Mastering your mind and your emotions, that is the real victory. Every single day gives you the opportunity to choose. Calm over chaos, peace over anger. And remember, true strength isn't measured by how loudly you can shout, but by how much serenity you can maintain when everything around you trembles. If you've come this far, write in the comments, I choose calm above all. That's how I'll know who the real Stoic warriors are, the ones who stayed until the end. Don't forget to subscribe and hit the like button so you never miss what's coming next. Check the description box as well. We've left resources to help you explore Stoic wisdom in greater depth. And if you ever feel like supporting us so we can keep creating content like this, you'll find the details in the pinned comment. Now, I invite you to continue this journey by exploring the playlist on screen. It's designed to help you face life with wisdom and confidence. Click it, and let's keep growing together. Until next time, take care and keep living as a true Stoic.